Hello, this is Scotty O with Ecstatic Hearts Tantra. So welcome today for our Tantra talk on Tuesday. And today's topic is manifesting your desires through sex magic, metaphysics, and the power of prayer. So first of all, let's just jump right into sex magic. You know, when I first heard about this, I was going, are you kidding me? Like, really? Sex magic? Well, what is that? And my only experience of that was like through Dungeons and Dragons, role-playing and stuff. And, it kind of brings to mind like secret rituals, secret societies, or complex formulas, or maybe pacts through Wiccan. And, I've heard of all these different things. And those are interpretations of sex magic. For us, when we're talking about sex magic, we're talking about manifesting through the law of attraction. So some of you might have heard about the law of attraction. It became popular through The Secret. This was first really written about by Napoleon Hill. If you aren't familiar with him, it's kind of interesting. The guy went to Dale Carnegie, who was the richest person in the world at the time, and he was basically a researcher and an author, and he said, can you tell me what the secrets to success are? And Dale Carnegie, unlike many people at the time, said, it's a good question. And he actually hired the guy to spend 20 years interviewing and researching all the most successful, richest people in the world, and came up with a list of what they all universally had in common. So this is really neat because it's not just one person's thoughts and interpretations. It's actually evidence of what works. And to summarize it, the basic gist of it is whatever man can conceive and believe, he can achieve. And the core of it is you focus on what you want, get clear on it, and then you build a driving desire, an excited energy around it. And then the more excited and the more passionate you are for it, then the quicker it comes. How sex magic fits in this, and by the way, he has a whole chapter on sexual transmutation, which is basically what Tantra does. It takes your sexual energy and you utilize it to open up your channels, to raise your vibration, and then to attract more of what you want quicker. Because the more powerful and the more passionate, the more intense and exciting your energy is, which is sexual, especially Tantra sexual, then the faster it comes. So that's really what it boils down to. So let's dive a little bit more into this. So one of the things that he talked about was whatever you can conceive and believe. So the first thing is you actually have to get clear on what you want. Most people don't. And if you focus on what you don't have, that's actually attracting more of the same of what you don't want. Does that make sense? So like if I'm sending out an energetic frequency of, like I'm broke this week and I just don't have enough money for what I need to do and blah, 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 then guess what happens? More bills come in the mail and more problems, and whereas if I'm focusing on something bad happens and I'm saying, oh, isn't this great? I wonder what is this going to bring to me and what new lessons are going to occur and, how else is the universe going to bless me? Then you can shift it and create more good things. And one of the things here too is that Thomas Edison and Albert Einstein, two of the arguably richest people in our history, came up with the simultaneous belief, or actually they determined that the brain is both a receiver and a sender of electromagnetic frequencies or vibrations. In fact, everything on the planet is made of energy, and the only thing that distinguishes a chair from an apple is the vibration or the frequency with which it vibrates. The only thing there's a person and a brick wall is the vibration at a very fundamental level. So, and then of course maybe there's the soul. We'll get into that in a second. But basically, so what happens with the brain is when we are vibrating at something, when we're thinking about what we want, it attracts the same. And they actually discover they can measure the vibrations of emotions. So this is interesting. So the lowest vibration emotions are fear, depression, despair, hopelessness. And the highest vibrations are empowerment, love, joy, and gratitude. And so one of the things that we want to do is notice how we're feeling, and if we can raise how much better we feel, if we can feel better, happier, if we can think about what we're grateful for, if we can focus on that versus what we don't have or what we don't like about people, focus on what we love about people, then it actually raises our vibration, attracts more of the same, and it raises the vibration of the world around us. This is also interesting. If you've ever been like you're kind of in a so-so mood and you hang out with someone happy and then all of a sudden you become happier. It also works in reverse. If you hang out with someone who's really committed to being depressed and you hang out with them for a while and you feel tanked or energy sucked as a result. That's basically whoever has the strongest emotional state wins. So whoever's most committed to feeling one way energetically, that's what's going to pull the other person in. So this is why groups are really important, like mastermind groups and teamwork work, because when you have a group of people that are all aligned, and that's a key towards the same goal. When you have an outlier, someone who's, maybe gets off goal for whatever reason, then they get pulled energetically back into the group dynamic field. And so that way, no one gets left behind. We all can get there quicker and supported. Also, we can see issues with each other, like stories and so forth that don't serve them, that they can't see for themselves. So, group is powerful too. So let's talk about whatever you believe you can achieve. So belief is really important here too. If you don't believe something is possible, or you do, you're always right. It's like, I think even Yoda said this, is like, but if you don't believe something, it's not going to happen. So and this is not just, you can say, oh, I know I'm going to get $1 million, and I'm going to get $1 million, and it's going to come in the mail or something. But if you subconsciously don't really think that's realistic, you're actually sabotaging, because your subconscious sends out signals that are even more powerful than our conscious. So one of the things we want to do is align ourselves internally with what we want. So, physically, that's one of the things that Tantra is doing too. What we're doing is we're taking sexual energy and we're moving it up our spine through something like the cobra breath that we teach, like in the Path to Ecstasy coming in January, is we pull it up our spine and it opens up our chakras, and it gets us more in tune with our security, with our power, with our love, with our self-expression, with our intuition, and then with the source, with divine. Whatever your belief in God is, and then you can clear out all this stuff like past stories and limitations and so forth that are in your way from really tapping into your direct energetic source, your direct connection to the divine. And we also talk about stories, like in our last video we talked about our stories shape our sexual empowerment. There's a lot of limiting beliefs that we might have around money. Let's say that you grew up poor, and if you had or maybe it was relationships or something, where if you made up stories when you're in the past. And like for me, for my mom, for instance, she was one of the most loving people in the world, and she was also very needy. She was like bipolar, and she would go back and forth. And so one of the things I kind of made up early about women was that women are kind of needy, and that I'm going to have to be take care of them. And so what happened through the rest of my life is I was only seeing, women that fit that model. But then when I shifted my story, when I shifted my belief, then my belief was I want someone who's an adventurer, who's powerful, who's loving. And so then I found love of my life. And what happens with this energy is when we move it through our bodies, we clean out all the old stories. We don't even necessarily need to know what they are, but it kind of cleanses things out so we can be present and aware and connected to our energy in the moment. So if this is all really kind of woo-woo for you, let's just look at psychology. That's part of it. Also, the brain has something called the reticular activator part of the system. And what that means is that it's the part of the brain that determines what we pay attention to. Do you know that today, because of technology, we are hit by millions of stimuli every day? And I think I saw that said in 1 hour of today, modern man gets hit with more stimuli and so forth than a person back pre-technology would in their entire life. An hour for the entire life. And so our brains, in order to function, in order not to be completely overwhelmed, have to pick and choose which things to focus on. And so that if we think about it, if we tell our brain on a regular basis, like, I want to focus on the love of my life, I want the love of my life, then it's going to start going, okay, let's tune in. Who's the love of my life? Like, look at those opportunities, see who's there. And then what are my stories about the love of my life? You know, what kind of person am I seeing? Because if we don't actually know what we want, then we aren't going to be looking for it. If we aren't clear and get the old patterns out of the way, then we might not attract what we really want, what we think we want, because our subconscious is doing something else. And then we can repeat and keep bringing it alive. And this is why commitment, compassion, intensity is good, because then whatever you think about most, you'll attract. Whatever you think about most is who you become. And so the repetitiveness of it keeps training the brain. It gets really strong until it actually goes, yes, there's the person, and it brings it into your life. So I hope all this is making sense. Yeah, so the beautiful thing about Tantra is that it taps into all these different levels. And it also taps to belief. Now, belief is another really powerful thing. Again, as I said before, if you don't believe it, it won't happen. And by doing affirmations, by believing it as if it has already occurred, that helps. Your subconscious doesn't really distinguish between fantasy and reality very well. So if you picture it happening in your brain, commitment, it builds belief in it, so that you can really manifest that and attract into your life. Does that make sense? So now, what about calling out other powers? What about God? So this is a big one. And first of all, I'll just say that Tantra, by the way, is not a religion. It's not even based on a belief system. It is just a yoga practice that is a spiritual practice for most people that can increase your connection with whatever that is, whether it's God, goddess, the universe, higher power, the group dynamic energy field, infinite conscious wisdom. It's called a lot of different things. For me, I think of them all as the same thing. I think basically for me, God is love. Plain and simple. It's the force of love. I do believe there's a divine intelligence about it. I do believe it's permeates all people. I think we can tap into it. When we say that the divine is within you, I mean, science has proven energetically it's the same energy everywhere, which isn't bound by time and space. But I've also had lots of experiences personally where through Tantra, I've experienced leaving my body. I've experienced having a direct connection with the divine. I know my soul is different than this body that's in, because I've had all these direct, amazing experiences with it. So that's one of the cool things about Tantra, is it helps you realize just how divine and how powerful you are in being able to manifest what you want. And that's just my belief. It doesn't really matter. I mean, it's kind of funny. So I look at some of our top students, and we've got Christians of all different types, and we've got Jews, we've got Muslims, we've got Hindus, we've got Buddhists, we've got agnostics, we've got atheists. We have quite the variety of all the different religions represented as far as our Tantra, because it's just a practice that can really help you become more connected. All right, so I think that's a lot of it. Let me just give you kind of what we recommend as far as what you can do to manifest things. Oh, and prayer. Let's talk about that. Prayer is like basically asking for what you want and being grateful for what you have, and that's very powerful. Now, it goes back to part of it, I think, is that it's just focusing on what you want and, imagining and believing that this is why faith is so powerful, because faith and belief help manifest your reality. Now, whether it's, you're calling on some higher power to bring that to you, that's kind of up to you. But I think that there's something to that. I mean, I believe that there is a higher intelligence at work. And what I just do is focus on love, and I let God take care of the rest, whatever God is. I don't think I need, it's like one of the things that Socrates said is, the more I know, the more I realize that I know nothing. And, so I don't know that it's even critical to say that I know the one right way that everything is. I'll just know that what I've practiced, it works. And that I just keep doing these simple steps, and abundance and love show up more in my life. And so that's what we recommend. So if you want to do a Tantra practice, and by the way, there's lots of paths, I think, to get there. I don't think there's one right way. I believe we're all evolving in whatever way that works for us. And Tantra for us is really fun, and it's easy, and it's enabled me to have a much stronger connection with the divine than I ever thought was possible. And so to me, prayer, metaphysics, sex magic is all very similar. It's kind of cool. Metaphysics is starting to prove the stuff that the Eastern philosophers have been talking about for a long time. Anyway, so let's just go through. If the cool thing about Tantra is that our style of Tantra is basically very simple, I say rituals, but it's, we start like this. You think about what you're grateful for, and you resonate gratitude in your body. That's so powerful just by itself. Then we think about love and acceptance, loving yourself, loving other people. Hey, Byron. And really resonate that in your body. It's really what it is about, focusing on love. And then you think about an intention, something that you want to create this day or in that practice or for the year. And then you activate your body. You get your body going. You do usually something physical to just get your juices flowing, get excited, get out of your funk, shake it off. And then you still the mind to get all the chatter and so forth quiet. And then you energize the body. And this is where sex comes in. It's like you don't have to do sex. You can do like all sorts of other breathing exercises, pelvic pumping. There's also sorts of exercises that help build and raise the sexual energy. But this is where the excitement and the passion, you want to get your energy going. Like, 'cause it's your fuel, it's your juice. And I think making love is the best part of that. And then you transmute. And this is through transmutation, like the cobra breath or other things there's other types of breaths that allow you to move the energy up your body, opening up your channels, connecting directly to source, and then sending it out, whether it's like a blessing or whether it's just well wishes for other people, or thinking about people you love and appreciate and want to send healing energy to them, or happy thoughts. That's it. That's for us, that's our sex magic. And it's something that anyone is doing, and in our class they don't even necessarily know that they're creating magic. But what's beautiful about this is when you do this, you just start having a higher vibration, especially when you're in a group context of like in a class where maybe you aren't doing sexual stuff, you're just building energy. But also if you have someone that you love, it accelerates this. When I did Tantra myself for about 10 years before I met Melanie, I didn't really make that much progress. I wasn't really practicing that much. But when I had a partner, not only was I inspired to practice, but the love, the connection that we have with each other increases the passion, increases the focus, and that manifested things much quicker and more easily. It's all really just about raising our vibration. And when you practice Tantra, you become happier, you become more loving, you become more connected, you become more orgasmic, and you can do it for long periods of time. That's the thing too, is that by doing Tantra lovemaking, instead of being, 7 minutes, which is the average in America, you can go into hours. And so you're building this energy and this passion and excitement for longer and longer periods of time. You're increasing the neural network in your brain so that it's more used to attracting positive energy and more feelings into your life, so that now Melanie and I can hug and go directly into orgasm. Not just Melanie, hundreds of us can do this now. And when you're able to do that, and you're immediately able to go into this high intensity, passionate, orgasmic state, then it just gets easier and easier and easier. And before you know it, you're just living this life of magical bliss where miracles are happening, and you come to expect miracles because they're happening all the time. And you just live in this state of bliss and love. So that's, that's it. Just, it's using your love making along with love and focusing on positive things is really the gist of what this is all about. So the keys are happiness, love, be clear on what you want, believe it's possible, get passionate about it. If you want to make love to do it, great. And repeat. Practice, practice, practice. And then you too can be living a magical fairy tale. So that's it. That's Scadio with ecstatic hearts on sex, magic, metaphysics, and power of prayer.